Hey, what's up? If you're thinking of hiking Mount Ararat in Turkey, I put together all of the info that helped me do it so you can have a clear vision of how to do it yourself. This is a guide on what you'll need to prepare for, how to plan your trip and book your adventure with a mountain guide agency, and finally, what you'll need when you're in Turkey, and then how to get back home. All right, I just got back from my trip to Turkey, July 2026, where I hiked Mount Ararat with an agency called To Ararat. July to September is the best season for hiking Ararat if you want stable and mostly dry weather. Mount Ararat is a 16,854-foot volcano that is very close to the border with Iran and Armenia. This area is a sensitive military zone where you're going to need to be with a guide and you'll need a permit to hike the volcano, which the guide companies will provide for you. You can book a private tour if you're solo or with friends or family, but I chose to join a group, which is the most affordable option. This isn't an active volcano, so you don't need to worry about falling into lava, toxic gases, or possible eruptions. When you're doing your search for the tour you prefer, you'll see that there's tours that combine other mountains in the area, like Mount Sufan or Mount Artos. Looking back, I wish I would have combined another hike before Mount Ararat because the experience was really good, and for the price, it would have been totally worth it. Most of the agencies are based in a town called Dobayazit or near Van Lake. By the way, this video isn't sponsored. I'm just doing this to encourage people to get out and experience nature. I would still appreciate it if you can subscribe to my channel and like this video so I'm encouraged to keep making videos like this. All right, from what I saw, there were several other agencies that had permanent camps on the mountain and they all seemed very professional and similar in their quality and approach. Once you've booked your adventure, you'll need to know how to get around in Turkey, right? I arrived in Istanbul, which is a huge city where most shop owners know some basic English and many spoke Spanish too. But outside of the tourist areas, people speak Turkish. It's useful to know the basics of Turkish, like how to say hello, thank you, and perhaps some food preferences. I use Google Translate a lot. It was super useful. Before arriving in Turkey, I bought an eSIM for my phone. If your phone accepts an eSIM, this is way easier and more convenient than buying a SIM card when you get to the airport or your hotel. I have a link to the eSIM app I used for this trip in the description for this video. I downloaded the app before leaving home. I selected a plan for Turkey with 3 gigabytes and then turned it on when I landed there. 3 gigabytes lasted me almost the entire 2 weeks I was there. In Istanbul, most places accept cards, including shops, restaurants, and bazaars. They'll take euros or Turkish lira, but in Dobayazit, you'll need to have Turkish lira and cash on you since most places do not accept cards. I have a link in the description for the app that I use to transfer money and convert it into Turkish lira or whatever currency I need when traveling. I was almost panicking when I flew from Istanbul to Ari and realized the bus only accepted cash, and I didn't see an ATM nearby. But the 2,000 Turkish lira I had on me was more than enough to pay for the bus trip to Dobayazit. I think it was only like 200 lira, which is a little more than $4 right now. Once I arrived at my hotel, I checked in and was connected to their Wi-Fi. It was really slow and would cut out often. I'm sure other hotels have good Wi-Fi, but my room cost me 20 bucks in USD, so I wasn't expecting much anyway. I asked for an outlet adapter at the front desk, and they gave me one to borrow. Charging was slow, and there was only a couple of outlets in my room. I took a walk around Dobayazit to get a feel of things and the people. There's plenty of tourists and foreigners, but I didn't see many that were venturing outside of their hotel. I noticed that the locals don't wear shorts, so I kind of stood out since I'm from Southern California and I'm wearing shorts almost all year back home. Most people are Muslim, so in this part of Turkey you won't see any bars, but just about everyone smokes cigarettes. You'll see many women with hijabs. Occasionally you'll see women with burqas, but there's lots of women that don't wear any hair covering at all. The day after I arrived in Dobayazit, the conflict between Iran and the US allies in the region escalated significantly. The State Department issued a no travel warning for parts of Turkey. I was a little nervous, but when I was visiting a shop, the owner made me feel so much better. When I told him I was an American and I gave him a concerned look, I went like this, right? He smiled and put his hand on his chest and said, Kurdish, America, okay. 86% of the population in eastern and southeastern Turkey is Kurdish, and they like Americans perhaps much more than the rest of the population. Everyone was very polite and respectful towards me. I never once felt unsafe, even when walking from downtown in the areas where there were no tourists at all. Okay, so finally came the evening before we left for Mount Ararat. Our group had a meeting where they gave us details on the trip and asked if we needed to rent any equipment. You can rent everything from a sleeping bag, boots, trekking poles, crampons, or a jacket. The agency I chose had semi-permanent tents with comfortable cots on both Base Camp 1 and Base Camp 2. I'll go into more about how nice the base camps were in just a bit. If you have luggage or stuff you don't need to take on the mountain, but you don't want to pay for a room while you're away, they can save your stuff in a secure room. It was no problem.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're going to need to bring a day pack with a poncho or rain jacket, and also a larger backpack or a duffel bag with your other stuff. Once you get off the shuttle bus that takes you to Çevirme, a small village at the end of the road to Ararat, your extra stuff will be transported by horses up to Base Camp 1. On the way there, be sure to have your passport. You're going to need to pass a military checkpoint, and they're going to ask for your passport. It's a requirement to have your passport with you at all times in Turkey if you're a foreigner. You could get fined if you don't have it with you. From Çevirme, you'll hike 3 to 4 hours to base camp. At the start of the hike, they give you a liter of bottled water and a bag of snacks. They'll provide this every time you go on a hike. Once you get to Base Camp 1, they'll provide lunch in the food tent, and then you'll be assigned a tent where you'll sleep for the night with 2 other people. I was really impressed with how the base camps were set up and run. You get 3 meals a day with enough food for seconds if you want. You're not going to go hungry, and you don't need to bring any food with you. There's showers with warm water. If you're brave, you can use the shared bar of soap, which I did, but I didn't have a towel, so I just tried to air dry for a couple of minutes until it was too cold. There's bathrooms too. They're Asian-style toilets, which I love because I can do an Asian squat pretty well. If you're not flexible on your ankles and hips, then going number 2 is kind of a struggle, but hey, you're at 10,000 feet on a mountain, and it's better than going next to a boulder in the open, right? I do recommend bringing wipes or a roll of toilet paper, since there's a chance they can run out of toilet paper. But they do have a hose in the bathroom stall in case you don't have either. They also have solar power, which I didn't expect. I forgot to bring my adapter, so I had to rely on my power banks for most of the time on the mountain. But you can charge your phone, cameras, and anything else in the food tent. You can get a decent cell phone signal on both base camps if you know where to stand. I was able to call home and talk to my family with no problem to let them know I was safe. The next day after breakfast, we went up to Base Camp 2 to help acclimate to the altitude, and then came back down after lunch. On the 3rd day, we went back up to Base Camp 2, and then they gave us crampons if you didn't bring your own, and showed you how to put them on. Then we tried to get some sleep before heading up to the summit at 1 a.m. If this is your first time hiking a mountain like this, the hike in the dark to the summit can be pretty strenuous, especially mentally. All kinds of demons will tell you that you're crazy and that you should just go back down to your warm sleeping bag. That's normal. Just remember to take small, old person steps and go slow. You got this. After reaching the summit, we went all the way back down to Çevirme after stopping several times for rest. And then we went back down to the hotel meeting point in a shuttle. Okay, now once you're back down, if you're taking a bus to the airport, you'll need to search on your map for THY. That's Turkish Airlines. There's several offices in Dobayazit where you can ask for the bus departure times, but you'll need to go to the terminal and pay when you get on the bus. Hey, I hope this video was helpful for your trip to Mount Ararat. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. If you were able to summit Ararat after watching this, please drop a comment to let everyone know how it went for you. Teshakura, thanks for watching.
You guys, well, there it is. Made it, man. The whole team, right? Yeah. Got my dude right there.